Welcome to AK Anime Explainer. Today is explanation of Soul Land 3, Legend of the Dragon King Part 230. Without any delay, start explanation. 8 golden dragons rose straight from the ground. Each dragon was over 5 meters long and even space was warped in their presence. Yu Jingyu felt the warp space contorting his body wildly such that he could not unleash more holy flames to resist the onslaught. At the same time, his saint sword stabbed into nothing, having missed Tang Wulin's body. Xie was standing within close range. Being an agility-type soul master, he too was shaken until his entire person shot straight upward. Xie and Yu Jingyu were part of the Shrek 7 monsters after all. Even though both of them could sense that something was off, their reactions were good. Both of them unleashed their battle armors in unison at once. Their battle armors spun around swiftly and covered their bodies in an attempt to resist the golden dragon shakes the earth, but it was apparent that Tang Wulin was not planning to go easy on them. He made a half-turn as he swung his right leg at lightning speed. The 8 golden dragons in the air bored into his right leg instantly, similar to the rivers that merged into the sea. Then, a gigantic dragon appeared before everyone. Xie and Yu Jingyu had donned their battle armors, defending themselves with full protection. Still, their bodies were blasted away, akin to 2 cannonballs, and slammed against the protective shield afar, producing 2 rings of piercing radiance on the shield. What? Yu Jingyu and Xie were stunned by the blow. Xu Xiaoyon's smile froze while Xu Lishi widened his eyes. Yuan and Yehui and Yi Xinglan's expressions froze instantly as well. How is this possible? The word miracle could not even begin to describe the scene which they had just witnessed. 2 hits. The golden dragon shakes the earth and the golden dragon wags its tail were part of the divine dragon's 9 moves. Yet, it only took 2 hits for Tang Wulin, and he had not even unleashed his martial soul. Xie and Yu Jingyu were thrown away. Was it because they failed to coordinate well? Was it because their attacks were not powerful enough? No. Only that Tang Wulin's ability was exceedingly domineering. He was so domineering that both of them did not even stand a chance. Xie and Yu Jingyu felt their blood essences tossing and surging in their entire bodies as they slid down from the protective shield. Although their battle armors blocked the majority of the attack, they still felt sore and lethargic all over, that they had to quickly use their soul powers to restore themselves with great effort. They were uninjured as the 2 hits had shocked more than injured them. An instant blast off in the match of 1 against 2. This was simply... Since when was he so powerful? They had a similar experience before when they were fighting against Monster Academy's Dragon King Long Yu. Long Yu once subdued them with such a heavy compelling force, but he was 2 levels above them at the time. On the other hand, Tang Wulin was only a 5-ring soul master at present. His cultivation base was not as powerful as theirs, but that terrifying compelling force felt like a mountain pressing down on them. At this moment, Xie and Yu Jingyu realized that they were not on par with Tang Wulin anymore. Again. Tang Wulin's deep voice was heard simultaneously. Xie and Yu Jingyu had already donned their battle armors at present. After their breathing had normalized, they both leaped up on their feet in unison. They were the Shrek 7 monsters. So, how could they not be competitive? Xie leaped into the air as his body began to spin at high speed. A golden dragon shadow immediately arose from his body, accompanied by a dragon's roar. His 5th soul ring glowed brightly as he unleashed his 5th soul skill, the Light Illusion Dragon. An illusory dragon appeared vaguely in the Light Illusion Dragon's shadow. It was the Shadow Illusion Dragon. Xie used his strongest ability, the Twin Dragon transformation, which he had learned earlier. Yu Jingyu pointed the Saint Sword skyward as he shouted coldly. A gush of raging intention burst out from his body instantly, while the angel shadow behind him enlarged simultaneously. His spirit soul Little Angel appeared on the top of his shoulder, while a stream of dazzling golden radiance shot into the air, illuminating the entire trial arena. The enormous golden radiance was reflected from the skies above. The enormous light pillar over 3 meters in diameter devoured Xie's twin dragon transformation in a split second. Roar, 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 the majestic and powerful action of the twin dragon transformation carried along the holy light emitted from the archangel's rage while being accompanied by the valiant dragon's roar twisted the entire trial arena. Two great one-word battle armor masters launched their top-grade soul skills simultaneously. They used the archangel's wrath to amplify the twin dragon transformation such that it became so powerful not even a two-word battle armor master could resist it. However, Tang Wulin remained standing at the same spot without budging, only that his gaze had become more solemn. He took a deep breath as his entire person seemed to swell with the rhythm of his breathing. The soul power vortex in his body spun at high speed while the blood essence vortex on his chest spun in reverse. A layer of golden-white radiance enshrouded his entire body while the golden dragon scales emerged on his skin naturally. For golden halos surrounded his body. Roar? The blood essence could be seen surging in Tang Wulin's body when he let out the golden dragon roar. His body blurred instantly and transformed into a massive golden dragon's head with an utmost tyrannical aura bursting forth from his body. It seemed like he had truly transformed into the golden dragon king precisely at this moment. Xie's twin dragon transformation immediately blurred when the golden dragon roar was heard. It was about to disintegrate despite being enhanced with the archangel's wrath. Meanwhile, Tang Wulin revealed himself once again. His hand circled once on the sides of his body before pushing forward solemnly. It was the golden dragon soars to the heaven. The blurred massive dragon head earlier condensed once again and transformed into a 30-meter-long, golden giant dragon that dashed forward and crashed ferociously into the twin dragon transformation. A valiant dragon's roar was heard while another sorrowful dragon's roar echoed through the entire trial arena. The group of people watching the battle afar had a change of expressions. Just then, few figures appeared silently on the side of the trial arena, including the Scarlet Dragon Dolor Shuoshe and the Blazing Dragon Dolor Feng Wuyu. Feng Wuyu expressed his surprise upon witnessing Tang Wulin's golden dragon soars to the heaven. "Is this your Scarlet Dragon soars to the heaven?" Although shock was apparent in Shuoshe's eyes, he puffed up his chest and responded immediately, "You impressed?" Feng Wuyu turned his head to the side and took a glance at Shuoshe when he realized that Shuoshe looked different. Impressed Maya's asterisk. It wasn't you, but it appears improved. I don't buy that you can't feel your bloodline trembling. The two great title Duluos were shuddering rather intensely at present due to Tang Wulin's golden dragon roar and golden dragon soars to the heaven. It was the fear from one's bones. Tang Wulin appeared monstrous and lofty in the trial arena even for them. Meanwhile, Tang Wulin suddenly disappeared. His entire person transformed into a giant golden dragon in the air once again. He flew and arrived at the collision spot in a flash. Soon after, his right arm extended and waved in the air. The golden dragon claw swelled up in the wing and transformed into a giant dragon claw over 5 meters in diameter. The dusk gold light blades protruded from the dragon claw and slapped down abruptly. The surrounding space abruptly turned black akin to a black hole during that one moment when the claw snapped forward. A terrifying pulling force burst forth from the black hole while the two figures appeared from the explosion's core and were enshrouded by the claw. Those were the golden dragon flies and the golden dragon nirvana claw of the divine dragon's 9 moves. Boom! The two figures were blasted away simultaneously. This time they were not flying in the same direction but in opposite directions. Yu Jingyu was in a slightly better circumstance because his feathered wings curled inward wrapping him, but his feathers were dropping when he flew backward. On the other side, Xie appeared horrified. 2 huge gashes extended all the way from his right shoulder to his left hip. The battle armor was completely severed. Although the battle armor was repairing itself swiftly by relying on the highest grade spirit alloy, Xie had lost his fighting capacity. He lay on the ground and could not stand up anymore. Tang Wulin descended from the sky and landed on the ground. A hum was heard against the silence of the entire scene. Yuan and Yehue made her way to Xie's side in a flash and held him up from the ground while examining the condition of his body. In the next moment, the shock in her eyes grew when she raised her head. Xie appeared to be in a bad condition, but he was not suffering from any injuries actually. His battle armor was obviously severed and exposed his body inside. However, his clothing was not even torn, only that his bloodline and soul power were sealed. Tang Wulin's attack earlier was so powerful, yet he was capable of controlling his strength with such precision. It was simply marvelous. No one would assume that his hit did not injure Xie Xie. In fact, Xie Xie's body would have already been severed into pieces had he devoted all his effort to attack Xie Xie. Yu Jingyu landed on the ground. He was not feeling well either, with 3 large gashes on his damaged battle armor. His condition was slightly better than Xie Xie's. His battle armor was skilled in defense, so it was not completely ruined. He was astounded upon landing onto the ground. Earlier, he felt as if his body was frozen as he was confronted by Tang Wulin's slapping claw. He could barely dodge, so he just withstood the force. His Saint Sword was utterly defenseless as it was immediately crushed under Tang Wulin's terrifying golden dragon claw. In the next moment, he was thrown away by the blast. He was afraid that he would end up like Xie Xie if not for his full force defense. Moreover, he felt that Tang Wulin had not exerted all his strength in his claw. More importantly, Tang Wulin had not even donned his battle armor. This was simply... Since when did he become so powerful? The rest of the Shrek 7 monsters felt that Tang Wulin was in a completely different category at present. It had only been a year and he was akin to being reborn. He was even more like the dragon that soared up to the 9 heavens when he displayed his power, which was extraordinary. Even Yu Jingyu, who had advanced to a 6th-ring Soul Emperor, did not even stand a chance with Tang Wulin. Yu Jingyu realized that maybe he would stand a chance if only he used his special skill Sacrifice. Yet, he thought that it was not worth taking the risk. The disparity was a little too much, no? Yuan and Yehui patted and rubbed Xie Xie's body a few times before Xie Xie awoke. His body trembled continuously for a good 10 seconds before he returned to normal. "What's going on with you?" Yuan and Yehui asked, puzzled. Xie Xie spoke with a bitter smile, "My bloodline is petrified. Big Brother's golden dragon roar earlier was completely different from before. My bloodline was immediately subdued, making my entire body lethargic as if I was filled with lead. How could I fight anymore? When did Big Brother become so powerful?" At this moment, Tang Wulin, who had descended from the sky earlier, looked like a changed person. His figure was no longer slender and tall but bulky. He appeared just like when they were confronting the Mountain Dragon King Long Yu before. However, in this case, Long Yu lacked Tang Wulin's intelligence. Long Yu could only be comparable to the present Tang Wulin when he acted wild. Tang Wulin had truly transformed, just like the dragon hiding in the deep waters that soared up to the skies. Tang Wulin looked at his hands and realized the control of his strength in every part of his body coordinated so smoothly with his spiritual power that he could sense and detect his opponents. It truly felt amazing. Apart from the fact that breaking through the Golden Dragon King's 9th seal perfected his blood essence power, the body sex techniques which allowed him to control his body and spirit played a crucial role as well. Just like what Mu Yi had mentioned, it was utterly useless even if he had a body full of strength which he could not fully utilize. There was no doubt that Tang Wulin had mastered the ability to control the utilization of his soul power and blood essence power. The 2 vortices in his body spun around at high speeds to complement each other such that his consumption of energy would be immediately replenished. "I'll try." Yi Xinglan had already arrived in front of Tang Wulin in a flash. Not only was she not showing any fear as she confronted Tang Wulin, she was in high spirits to fight him. This was precisely her character. The girl who charged forward in the face of difficulties no matter what. Her destined path was to constantly confront the powerhouses and achieve a breakthrough by challenging her limits over and over again. "Very well. Yuan will join as well." Tang Wulin waved his hand at Yuan and Yehui at the same time. There was no doubt that Yuan and Yehui and Yi Xinglan were more powerful than Xie Xie and Yu Jingyu. Yuan and Yehui stood up and walked in great strides to Yi Xinglan's side. Xu Lixi was surprised to find that Yi Xinglan did not object at all. He could tell from this that she knew she was not Tang Wulin's worthy opponent at the moment. Xu Xiaoyan licked her red lips as she walked to Yu Jingyu's side. She announced, "Begin." Yi Xinglan took a step to the side, then she stood there without budging. The lighting surrounding her body suddenly dimmed a little. It felt as if all the light had been absorbed by her body. A sharp sword burst forth from her body which caused the protective shield around the trial arena to ripple. However, the sensation only lasted for a few short moments. It did not bother anyone, but it made the sword's presence feel even more terrifying. Yi Xinglan closed her eyes. She did not unleash her martial soul, but she stood there as if she was meditating. Tang Wulin's expression was much more solemn than before. Yuan and Yehui took a step forward and positioned herself in front of Yi Xinglan. Her figure expanded exponentially to reveal her Titan giant ape martial soul. She raised her arms from the sides of her body as a pair of giant hammers appeared out of thin air. The giant hammers were made by Tang Wulin for her back in the beginning. The hammers were once damaged when they were battling the evil soul masters, but Yuan and Yehui found another blacksmith to help her repair it. The heavy hammers that were supposed to be used for the mechas seemed weightless in her hands. Yuan and Yehui's gaze froze for a moment as the pieces of battle armor flipped over swiftly and covered her entire person. She appeared majestic but imposing at the same time. Tang Wulin launched an attack on his own initiative. He touched the tip of his foot on the ground once and sent his entire person dashing forward much like a cannonball. As he sped along at high speed, his right arm was retracted on his back. His fists were clenched as he moved through the air, gathering an ever-increasing force. Yuan and Yehui took another step forward as she charged forward similarly. She swung the double hammers violently because she was not going to be merciful, for she understood Tang Wulin's strength very well now. Boom, both of them collided together. Even with her pair of heavy hammers and the amplification of her battle armor, Yuan and Yehui was still blasted away by Tang Wulin's punch. She slammed onto the protective shield of fire just like Xie and Yu Jingyu earlier. Tang Wulin's body froze for a moment in the air before the golden dragon shadow behind his back appeared once again. The golden dragon flies gave him double acceleration in the air as he pounced straight for Yi Xinglan. At this moment, Yi Xinglan made a move. She raised her right hand and made a grabbing motion behind her head. The Star God sword emerged all of a sudden with a shimmery reflection. The light in the surrounding area was absorbed at that moment. One could only see a stream of dazzling starlight appearing in a flash within the pitch-black space. Clang! Tang Wulin descended from the sky and was blocked by Yi Xinglan's sword. She was the first person who managed to block Tang Wulin's attack during the trial fight today. At the same time, her battle armor attached to her body was shaking violently. Meanwhile, a dazzling sword's reflection had enshrouded Tang Wulin's body. Tang Wulin crossed his arms. He walked with the ghost shadow perplexing track such that his speed was unusually fast. His movements appeared illusory and shimmery, accompanied by a series of remnant shadows. Yi Xinglan's Star God sword, albeit swift, constantly missed him and could not lock down his position. Yuan and Yehui bounced into the air afar as two balls from the air cannons blasted toward Tang Wulin to prevent him from moving. Simultaneously, she completed her Devil Titan transformation. She held the double hammers in her hands as she descended from the sky and landed behind Tang Wulin to join Yi Xinglan into attacking him from both the front and back. Xu Xiaoyan stood next to Yu Jingyu as she spoke softly, "Look at them. Sister Xinglan and Yuan are not as weak as the both of you." Yu Jingyu rolled his eyes. "Not that we're weak, but it's Xie's fault. He was petrified by Big Brother's dragon roar such that he couldn't even fight anymore. Otherwise, how could I be defeated so badly? I didn't even manage to use my sixth soul skill. Moreover, I could have fought on." Roar. At this moment, the valiant dragon's roar was heard once again. It was the golden dragon roar. Even though Yuan and Yehui and Yi Xinglan did not possess the dragon clan bloodline, their bodies were still shaken violently and slowed down simultaneously under the influence of Tang Wulin's raging roar. Tang Wulin stamped his right foot on the ground and unleashed the golden dragon roar, followed by the golden dragon shakes the earth. It warped the surrounding space. Yi Xinglan, who was standing closest to him, was affected such that her entire person shivered and immediately became frozen. Her cultivation base was only outranked by Tang Wulin within their group of 7. She managed to unleash the protective shield on her battle armor, glowing with speckles of starlight when she felt unwell. Thus, she only shivered a while before she resolved it with her ruthless sword. However, it was precisely then that 8 golden dragons scurried out and flew toward Yuan and Yehui. Tang Wulin seized the opportunity when Yi Xinglan was stunned to get to her. His right golden dragon claw swung forward and shattered the space where his hand passed through. The fragmented space naturally produced a suction force that drew in Yi Xinglan. Yi Xinglan lifted her Star God sword and integrated herself with the one with the sword without much space for maneuvering, much to everyone's surprise. Ding ding ding. A series of crisp sounds were continuously heard from the spot where the sword met the claw. The disparity between their powers could be seen now. Although Yi Xinglan had channeled the sword's consciousness as best as she could, she was still oppressed by Tang Wulin such that she was retreating after each collision. The disparity between their strengths was just too huge. Tang Wulin turned around and swept his right foot against the ground. The massive dragon's tail emerged unexpectedly with the sound of his valiant dragon's roar. It was the golden dragon Wag's tail. Tang Wulin was not especially skilled in executing his techniques. His method was simple and crude. He made his opponent submit by force. He did not intend to compete against her sword's consciousness or swordsmanship. Nonetheless, he was using the purest form of his strength to suppress her. Yi Xinglan was helpless, so she could only transform her Star God sword into countless swords' radiances to retreat quickly. In the end, she was still blasted away by the golden dragon Wag's tail. Tang Wulin's golden dragon Wag's tail swung his body horizontally. He did not even look at Yi Xinglan retreating from the shock as he raised his right arm and unleashed the golden dragon Nirvana claw. Yu Jingyu and Xie Xie had fought against his golden dragon Nirvana claw earlier. Only this time, Yuan and Yehui, who had just gotten over the golden dragon shocks the earth, would be fighting it alone. The terrifying and massive dragon claw dropped down from the sky with a suction force that could shatter space. Coupled with the sharpness of the golden dragon Dreadclaw, it was the most powerful attack in Tang Wulin's Divine Dragon 9 moves at present. It was impossible for Yuan and Yehui to transform into the fallen angel to evade the attack. The sixth soul ring on her body glowed brightly as the double hammers struck together in front of her. She stood in the trial arena as if her feet were rooted to the ground. A giant hand, 10 meters in diameter, suddenly appeared behind her back. The giant hand clenched into a fist and resisted Tang Wulin's massive golden dragon Nirvana claw. Yuan and Yehui was at the same level as Yu Jingyu. She had broken through to be a 6-ring soul emperor. Boom! Tang Wulin and Yuan and Yehui shook violently at the same time. The golden dragon Nirvana claw and the Titan's grip were crushed when they collided into each other. They were evenly matched. However, Yuan and Yehui was reinforced by her battle armor, the 3 great enhancements of her Titan strength, Diamond Titan, and Devil Titan, plus her 6th soul skill. With all these reinforcements, she had only managed to resist the attack. Nevertheless, she finally managed to block Tang Wulin's most powerful attack head-on when a speckle of frosty starlight appeared behind Tang Wulin's back. Tang Wulin swung his right hand back abruptly as a stream of golden radiance crossed his back. It was his golden dragon spear. Simultaneously, his one-word battle armor, dragon, emerged on his body. Yuan and Yehui and Yi Xinglan were even more powerful than Xie Xie and Yu Jingyu. It was difficult to defeat them without the battle armor. Yuan and Yehui's 6th soul ring remained glowing brightly. Her right hammer was tossed into the air as her Titan's grip appeared once again to grab the giant hammer before slamming it down. Yi Xinglan, who was behind Tang Wulin, froze for a moment. Her 5th soul ring glowed as her entire person transformed into a star that was flickering with blazing hot radiance. The formidable sword's consciousness locked down his entire body. The 2 powerhouses devoted all their efforts in their attacks, and it seemed like they could finally suppress Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin took a deep breath as he seemed to enter a special state. His eyes turned unusually bright. Just as the giant hammer was about to come into contact with him, the battle armor that covered his entire body turned as smooth and bright as a mirror. Boom! The giant hammer bounced when it struck the domineering golden dragon body. The golden dragon spear in his hand pierced forward at the same time when the radiance on his entire body shimmered at high speed to meet Yi Xinglan's 5th soul skill, Star Sword. Ding! When the piercing impact sound was heard, Xie Xie, Yu Jingyu, Xu Xiaoyuan, and Xu Lixi all cringed as they closed their eyes. Yu Zhenyu hastily spread open his wings to protect everyone. His holy light bloomed brightly, and in the next moment, the shock wave had already arrived at their spot. Yi Xinglan gave out a muffled humph. She spat out a mouthful of fresh blood while she fell back. Tang Wulin had an apologetic look in his eyes. He turned around and swept his golden dragon spear horizontally. The golden dragon wag's tail gave another sweep and blasted Yuan and Yehui away. Tang Wulin, donning his battle armor, exerted a strength that felt indomitable, for he was truly too powerful. Xu Lixi had already made his way to Yi Xinglan as he stuffed a recovery pork bun into her mouth swiftly. Yi Xinglan consumed the recovery pork bun and gave Tang Wulin a thumbs up. Tang Wulin rushed over quickly. "I'm sorry, Xinglan. Your sword's consciousness is too powerful. I couldn't control myself." Yi Xinglan smiled and spoke, "It's fine. Our battle makes us feel challenged. I know you've already reduced your strength. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to resist the spear if not for Yuan and Yehui, who helped in lessening a portion of your strength." It was true that Tang Wulin had already reduced his strength as best as he could, but the strength from the domineering golden dragon body in addition to his own overly powerful strength had made him hurt Yi Xinglan. The group of people gathered. Xie could not stop himself from asking, "Big brother, how did you become so powerful in such a short time? Even Sister Xinglan and Yuan are not your match." Tang Wulin spoke, "I got better at controlling my strength, then my bloodline had a further awakening. Actually, all of you are unaware of my elevation. Otherwise, I won't win so easily. Of course, you're the exception." Xie sniggered. "It's fine. I'll be on your side the next time. Then I won't be affected. In fact, it'll be beneficial for me, right? I think that it shouldn't be a problem for both of us to fight against 5 of them. I'm always on your side. Will you die if you tell the truth for once?" Yu Zhenyu asked irritatingly. "You can give it a try?" Xie stood by Tang Wulin's side proudly. He just assumed Tang Wulin's authority as his own, which made the rest of them smile. However, Tang Wulin pondered for a moment before saying, "We can surely try. Xinglan, are you still good to go?" Yi Xinglan replied, "I'm fine. Do you really wish to have another go? The battle of 2 against 5 would be different from the battle of 1 against 2 earlier." Although Xu Lixi did not have much fighting capacity, his buns were good at enhancing everyone. A mature squad like the Shrek 7 monsters would be capable of superb cooperation. With the addition of each member, it would result in the improvement of the team's overall fighting capacity by many folds. To top it off, there was also Xu Xiaoyon's control soul skill. Yi Xinglan, Yuan and Yehui, and Yu Jingyu were 3 great assault-type soul masters. In addition, 2 of them were also 6-ring soul emperors. It would not be easy for Tang Wulin and Xie to resist them with their combined powers. Tang Wulin nodded with determination. "Let's go ahead then. Our trial is mainly to get an in-depth understanding of our current situation. Next, we're going to make our 2-word battle armors. I intend to have some surprises in the forging of our 2-word battle armors." Xie asked in curiosity, "What surprise?" Tang Wulin smiled. "I've already achieved a breakthrough." The group of people was all shocked as the words escaped their mouths. "Saint Craftsman." Tang Wulin made his revelation nodding with a smile. The group stood staring at one another while Xu Xiaoyon screamed out in surprise. "Oh my God! Big brother, please bring us along if you're going to elevate your power on a large scale the next time. Saint Craftsman and Soul Forging? Does that mean you can now forge 3-word battle armors for us?" Tang Wulin smiled and spoke, "There's still some deficiency. After all, I've just achieved this level, so I'll need some time to perfect my skills. Moreover, you can't use it even if I'm capable of forging one for you. Without the foundation of a 7-ring cultivation base and martial soul, we can't possibly use the battle armor made from soul-forged metal. We shouldn't reach beyond our grasp, so it's better for us to complete our 2-word battle armors. However, with soul forging as our inner secret, I intend to complete fuse forging with at least 4 types of metals when I'm forging the 2-word battle armors for all of you. So, our battle armors will always be above the standards of our peers. The two-word battle armor will not only have wings but it'll also be capable of curing a soul skill that won't be restricted by the martial soul. All of you will need to consider properly. It's best for the soul skill to be something all of us can agree on to portray ourselves. The so-called cured soul skill was the process of curing a soul skill through the battle armor's special core circuit. The soul skill's power would be related to a soul master's cultivation base and his or her battle armor. Naturally, additional cured soul skills could be added to the three-word battle armor later on. For example, Tang Wulin's soul skill could be cured onto Xie's battle armor. This would require the soul masters who possess the soul skills to work closely together. Big brother, I'm going to cure that claw skill of yours earlier, Xie immediately spoke without the slightest hesitation. Tang Wulin laughed to himself. You wish. Let's put aside the fact it's my bloodline soul skill, but we don't even know if we can cure it at present. Even if we can, you don't have the amplification of my strength and the Golden Dragon Dreadclaw. Hence, it's not suitable for you. Only Yuanen's strength is strong enough to employ most of my Golden Dragon Nirvana Claw's power among all of you, so Yuanen can consider that. Of course, we'll still need to try out if you can use my bloodline soul skill during the curing process. Tang Wulin continued speaking, I think there's still a chance. Moreover, the more types of spirit alloys are used, the higher is the battle armor's bearing capacity. It's also possible for us to cure some of our teacher's soul skills. We can choose anything that's below a 7 ring, but it's best if the soul skill can fuse perfectly with our own abilities in order to achieve the best amplification result. The two-word battle armor and one-word battle armor were two completely different concepts. Strictly speaking, one could only be considered a true battle armor master after one possessed a two-word battle armor. Of course, Tang Wulin and his comrade Spirit Alloy one-word battle armors were the exceptions. At present, Yu Jingyu and Yuan and Yehui had already broken through to 6 rings, so they were completely qualified for the two-word battle armor's foundation while the rest were at the same soul power level. Shu Lixi was especially excited because if he were to own his own two-word battle armor, he would only need to cure a useful attack-type soul skill to make a qualitative leap in his power. Then, he could finally fight. Alright, let's fight once more. Devote all your efforts into this. Only then can I determine what your battle armor needs the most, Tang Wulin spoke as he smiled. Even though it was not a suitable time for them to use the soul-forged battle armor, Tang Wulin was confident in completing the spirit alloy forging with 4 or even 5 types of metals with soul forging as their inner secret. Of course, he would still need to consider the characteristics of the chosen soul skill which everyone wished to cure into their battle armors during the spirit alloy forging process. This was the benefit of having a talented blacksmith on their team when it came to making battle armors. A blacksmith's role was crucial when it came to the later part of the process. It would be a very difficult task to complete soul forging if it was done by an ordinary blacksmith. As it was, soul forging was already adequate for a two-word battle armor. Yet, one could imagine how good the battle armor's bearing capacity would be with the soul skill. Many two-word battle armors could not be cured with the battle armor soul skill due to the battle armor's inferior quality. Zhenhua was well known all over the continent for his craft. He gained the continent's respect because a perfect four-word battle armor would require a saint craftsman's full dedication. It was especially so during the later stages of making the battle armor. If Tang Wulin were to spread the news that he was already a saint craftsman, it would be easy for him to make money in Shrek Academy. Feng Wuyu was a title Doluor, but he was not an easy person to deal with. However, he was still young, so the Soul Masters were willing to work together with him. Xie moved swiftly and stood by Tang Wulin's side. He was slightly worried about having to fight against his 5 other comrades. He spoke softly, "Big brother, can we really do it? My battle armor has yet to heal completely. I'm afraid I won't be much help to you." Tang Wulin gave him an unpleasant look. "Can you stop being such a loser? Yuan is looking at you." Xie sniggered. "I'm confident with your presence. Big brother, let's have a taste of being defeated." Yu Zhenyu raised his brows. It's too early to tell who's going to be defeated. Both parties fell back. The battle of 2 against 5. There was a great disparity between the two parties. Yuan and Yehui, Yi Xinglan, and Yu Jingyu stood in front while Xu Xiaoyan and Xu Lixi were behind. All 5 of them donned their battle armors without the slightest hesitation. Tang Wulin did not don his battle armor at all. His expression turned serious as he faced his 5 comrades. This battle would not be as relaxed as the previous ones. Xu Lixi had begun chanting incantations and producing his buns, which were the bloodthirst bean buns, the puncture pork buns, and the firm crystal buns. It seemed like he was making the buns for everyone. Tang Wulin shouted aloud, "Begin!" He could not afford to wait for Xu Lixi to finish preparing all the buns. Otherwise, he and Xie would not stand a chance. Tang Wulin's body moved in a flash and had taken the lead to run ahead. Xie similarly moved swiftly and vanished behind his back. Tang Wulin could sense that there was a gush of penetrating energy growing behind him at present. Was that the momentum accumulating force? Xie's loss earlier was due to his bloodline. Xie had not slowed down ever since he got together with Yuan. Actually, his fighting capacity was not as weak as he appeared today. As Tang Wulin's fighting partner, Xie felt completely different from the situation when he confronted Tang Wulin earlier because Tang Wulin was no longer the enemy. He could feel the bloodline fluctuation radiating from Tang Wulin's body stimulating his bloodline. The process of mobilizing the momentum accumulating force was faster than usual. Even though his bloodline power was incapable of directly increasing his overall power, his bloodline was vigorous enough that it allowed him to channel 120% of his usual power. This was the disparity. Not to mention the fact that Tang Wulin could also enhance their abilities simultaneously. Even when confronting 5 people, Tang Wulin was indomitable. He was akin to a giant dragon that was baring its fangs at the enemy. Just then, a ring of radiance suddenly appeared on the path ahead which they had to pass through. Tang Wulin was surprised as his body shifted horizontally so that he could change his position in a brief moment. The star wheel shackles were silent. He would have been bound by the star wheel shackles if he had slowed down even a bit. The star wheel shackles had an immobilizing effect that his momentum would be decreased immediately. Even so, Tang Wulin's swift momentum was weakened due to his evasive moves. Yuan and Yehui stuffed a bloodthirst bin bun into her mouth as she took the lead to approach them. The Saint Sword in Yu Jingyu's hands condensed once again. He raised the Saint Sword high as the light of judgment descended from the sky to stab at Tang Wulin. In the match of 5 against 2, they had the upper hand, so their fighting methods were naturally different from before. Yuan and Yehui was not done after consuming one bloodthirst bean bun. She turned over her hand and caught the firm crystal bun which Xu Lixi tossed over using the Tang sect hidden weapon technique. She stuffed it into her mouth as a layer of crystal-like gloss shone on her body and immediately reinforced her defense. The star chains were released and connected the 5 of them together as one. The corners of Tang Wulin's lips twitched once. It was truly different with the addition of Xu Xiaoyan and Xu Lixi. He had absolute confidence that he would win in the match of 2 against 3. But not in the match of 2 against 5. Smilingly, Xu Xiaoyan unleashed the star chains. Then, she pointed at Tang Wulin as he dodged subconsciously, yet nothing happened this time. Xu Xiaoyan stuck out her tongue at him with a sweet smile on her face. Tang Wulin squinted his eyes. Suddenly, his right foot stepped forward while his right arm extended backward. Soon after, the golden dragon spear transformed into a bolt of golden lightning shooting straight at Xu Xiaoyan. Tang Wulin's strength could only be described as terrifying, with the amplification of his battle armor and golden dragon body. The golden dragon spear was equipped with such a terrifying destructive force. When it was hurled as a spear, even a 7-ring soul sage would need to be cautious. This video will end here. Like video and subscribe to my channel.